Ghosts, spirits, poltergeists, demons. Do they exist? Is there life after life? Are there unseen entities around us? Can they communicate? Do you believe? What happens in the shadows doesn't always stay in the shadows. Live from Northwest Georgia, covering the region and beyond, this is Georgia Paranormal Radio. And now, here's your host, Mike Watkins.
Good evening! Welcome to another edition of Georgia Paranormal Radio. This is your host, Mike Watkins. Thank you for joining us for episode number 15, and apologize for the delay. Appreciate you good folks sticking with us. Looks like our numbers went up a little bit for that week we took a vacation or a holiday there. And we're here with you this week with some hot topic talk. And my guest in studio this week is going to be Cindy Westbrooks. And I'll introduce her here in just a minute or two. But like I say, I apologize for the delay. And hopefully you good folks have understood. Going to stick with us. And hopefully we'll have some good guests coming up for you here in the next week or two. Not that Cindy's not a good guest or anything. But I'm in talks with some minor celebrities to get them on the air. I'm not going to mention any names, but they're more celebrities than I'll ever be, so it's going to be interesting. And I want to go ahead and mention again our MySpace account, which is myspace.com/NWGAPIT. Add us to your friends list. I'd love to see the folks that are listening, and you can be our little buddy. We talked about that last broadcast, so just join up there on the MySpace page. And also, a bit of team news that's going on this week before we get into hot topic talk here is our team meeting coming up. It's going to be, January the 20th, 2007. It's going to be a Saturday night. It's going to be at 6 o'clock, and it's going to be at the Fuddruckers Restaurant. Boy, you can almost get in trouble saying that name, can't you? Fuddruckers Restaurant over in Dalton, Georgia. 6 o'clock, like I said. And if you've never eaten at Fuddruckers, well, you're in for a good time because it's really good. And hopefully after the after the meeting, I'm getting ahead of myself, obviously. It's what you get when you take a week off. You just forget how to do the whole shooting match, folks. It's really not good. So after the meeting, hopefully the weather will cooperate and we will have an investigation over at a local landmark. Hopefully things will cooperate and we'll be able to do that. And like I said, we got Cindy Westbrooks here with us. This week we're going to talk about some, primarily we're going to talk about some controversial EVP collection techniques. Her opinions on some things that we do. And who knows where we'll go. You know how these programs go, folks. We get off on a tangent, and that's what this one program a month is for, is just going off on a weird, wild tangent. So without any further ado, I'll go ahead and introduce Cindy Westbrook. She is the communications manager for the Northwest Georgia Paranormal Investigation Team, my guest for this week, and I guess you would say my co-host, actually, once a month for Hot Topic Talk. Good evening, Cindy.
Hello, Mike. Thank you for having me back up here in Lafayette again.
Well, yeah, I would say it's a pleasure, but I don't guess it's a pleasure for anybody to come to Lafayette, is it? Both blocks. We finally got our power working, our traffic light working, though, folks. The roads are paved. We got the powers working on the traffic lights, so we're high tech. So, and my blind banjo-picking cousins out at the corner waved them in. Hope you waved back at him. He wouldn't know if you did or didn't, though. He's blind.
Well, I yelled.
Oh. Did he hear you over the banjo?
I don't know.
Oh.
He kept picking, so.
Well, I'll tell him later. Just in case. Yeah. All right. Well, Cindy, let's go ahead and the subject of your, shall I not say wrath, not your wrath, But the subject of your skepticism, beautiful word. The subject of your skepticism is this EVP collection technique that we're going to play here. This is something that David talked about and in last EVP special, last program. And it was kind of the mystery of the month, EVP. Now, I'm not going to tell you what I think it says because, good Lord, just starting a bigger war. But David talked about this, and for those that don't know, David is Cindy's husband. Y'all have got to go home after this, so be kind.
Yeah.
Y'all are going to go through some deep, dark woods on the way home. He has a gun.
Yeah, but I know how to use it too.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so you don't have to worry too much.
Nah.
Okay. So anyway, let's go ahead and play this little sample here. This is EVP collected from draining water.
Yes.
Okay. Let's go ahead and play the sample, and we'll just launch right into it. Here we go. All right, there you go. We've talked about this. We talked about this the other day as we were kind of planning for this show. Yeah, believe it or not, we actually planned for the show. Doesn't seem like it, but and we talked about this the other day. And you know where I stand, but let me clue in the listeners as to where I stand on this. I believe that David has hit upon something. Okay? I believe that, yes, the frequency changes do oscillate up and down in a way that is very similar to human speech pattern. I believe that just makes it easier for these entities, these spirits, these whatever they are, to use that speech pattern to communicate, as opposed to a blank line or a white noise, which, for those of you who don't know what white noise sounds like, here it is. Yeah, that's white noise, okay? It's just kind of a little bit of a frequency differential there. It's like TV static, okay? That's white noise. Technically, it's not true white noise. White noise would be a monotone, just like a single frequency generation. What a lot of programs call white noise or static is actually what I would call pink noise or dirty noise. It has the oscillations to it. But for all intents and purposes, we're gonna call that white noise because that's what the computer program says is white noise. I believe that those oscillations, though, coming from that draining water or draining whatever it is that oscillate up and down near the human speech pattern anyway, make it easier for these things to communicate, more so than dead air or static. You, on the other hand, feel a bit differently about that. So give us your point of view.
Okay. First of all, it could make it easier. It could be communication from beyond. But the fact that it does oscillate up and down, and by its very nature, it is similar to human speech pattern, I think rules it out as far as to be evidence to be truly looked at as EVPs. Gives it way too much room for audio matrixing.
Okay. And audio, matrixing, we've talked about before. For those of you not familiar with the term matrixing, it's the mind's need and or ability to create a pattern out of something completely random just so the mind does not go crazy with the strangeness that it's experiencing. If
Right.
it doesn't recognize something, our minds need to recognize it. And so matrixing is the mind trying to make sense of gibberish.
Right, and a perfect example of that, just sit and try to picture infinity. Try to picture forever. Your mind cannot wrap itself around forever. Your mind wants there to be an end.
Yes.
But there is no end if it's infinite. And you can sit and think about that, and it'll really, really mess with you.
You know, at one point when I was actually in seminary, that was something that I did. I guess I was at a closer relationship with God at that time or something. But I actually just sat down and I considered forever.
I do that
And you know,
sometimes
for just a split second, it's like your mind almost can wrap around it, and then you snap out of
It's
it.
gone.
It's gone.
Right. And
There's no way to possibly conceive that.
and it's almost, in a lot of ways, what it makes you feel is almost like a panic attack, because it's like, it's just unimaginable.
You're absolutely correct. That's exactly what it feels like, is a panic attack. You're just snapped back to reality.
Right.
So you think that this is coming from matrixing.
Right, because your mind needs for things to be familiar.
Okay.
Your mind, movie monsters.
Right.
Every movie monster you ever see will have some human-like traits. May not look human at all, but they have eyes, they have mouths, or they have some kind of human-like features, because we cannot imagine something that is completely new, that we've never seen. Our minds can't make up something that is completely new. It wants things to be familiar.
I just thought they did that just to save money on special effects. Well, I mean, it's easier to put a guy in a costume than it is to create something, some amorphous blob that's CGI'd. You can just put Uncle Tim
But even
in the...
that, something is going to be familiar about it. It's going to look like something somebody's seen before.
Right.
No matter what it is, it's going to look like something you've seen before. Because your mind needs things to be familiar. And
That's
your
true.
mind won't accept it any other way.
I'll concede that
And that's
point.
the basic premise behind matrixing. Whether it be audio, visual, any kind of matrixing, it's our mind's need to make it familiar.
Right. Keeps you from going insane.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, it didn't work with me. But, because
I don't think it does with most of us.
I'm a Looney Tune, so, okay. I can concede that point, that it could be, let me see how I want to say this, because this is diplomatic how I want to put this. I would say there is a 20 to 30% chance it could be matrixing. I will say. I know that you're going to say there's probably a 90 to 95% chance it's matrixing.
Yes. Now I would say that most things that we collect have a 20 to 30% chance of being matrixing.
Mm-hmm.
That particular thing, probably, 95 or better.
Well, now talking about other things we collect, because we had, we should have been taping Sunday when we were talking.
Yes, the conversation
we were,
got very heated. So
yeah,
it was great.
And it's not that we get angry at each other and debate things. We just debate things. It's just for giggles and fun. So, what about? I mean, you're talking 20-30% of the other stuff we collect is matrixing. Could be, could be. And we're talking about the purity of EVP sample sources. And you had said, and I have a witness to this, you had said that the only way you're ever going to 100% accept an EVP...
Oh, it still wouldn't be 100%.
Oh, okay. Well, then there goes that theory. Is if it were backed by white noise.
Right, 99.9.
Okay. So, let me ask you this. Why are we even bothering collecting EVPs when we go to residences that we suspect, or businesses?
Because, again, if you have one EVP, that there's a 70% chance that it's real, that it's legitimate. Doesn't mean a thing. But if you get 10 at the same place and you put all of it together, and especially if you can repeat the same one, especially more than twice, then each one individually may be 70% chance they're legitimate. But when you put them all together, it becomes more like 85 to 90. And if you've repeated it twice, then it becomes even more. If you repeat the same one more than twice, it's getting a pretty good chance that it's real. So I'm personally, I look for the scientific. I want it to be as pure science as we are possibly capable of creating.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the whole thing with science. It can be recreated.
I can recreate the bathtub experiment draining.
But it's probably not going to say the same thing every time.
You never know.
And it's too similar just by its very nature to human speech pattern. That's goes back to one of the things we were talking about sound. What sound actually is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we had a nice debate about this on the phone.
A couple times we've talked about this. Sound is not the waves that are created. Sound is not the thing itself. Sound is your mind's interpretation of the waves that are created.
And see, whatever basis that has, I always believe that if a tree falls in the woods and no one is there to hear it, does it make a sound? Absolutely.
Absolutely not.
It absolutely makes a sound. There is no way on God's green earth that it is not going to somehow, some way resonate some kind of microbe, some kind of atomic particle.
But then there's something there to hear it.
Well, there's always something somewhere. Always.
But that's not the question.
That is the question.
No, if a tree falls in the forest and there's nobody or nothing there to hear it, doesn't make a sound.
That's an impossible question because there's always somebody or something somewhere.
But if there's not, then there's no sound.
We'll assume it will. We'll assume it'll make a sound.
There you go. There's a difference between optimism and pessimism.
So you're a pessimist.
My glass is half empty.
I drank all mine and waiting on a refill. None of this half and half crap. I drank all of mine and I'm ready for another round, bartender. But
it's just if you take the question literally,
yeah,
there's no sound. But that's the whole point of a philosophical discussion.
Yeah.
Because it is a philosophical question, it is not a scientific one. But I have a scientific mind. I look at the scientific, not the philosophical.
And I'm more philosophical and theological, I guess, than you. I've got a degree in thinking, not in science.
I don't have a degree in anything.
My degree is in thinking. Theology is man's thoughts on God. That's what I did was think about God. And didn't get paid for it, though. Wonder why I miss it so much. It was a free job. No. Well, the degree wasn't free. Ugh. But anyway, back on subject of techniques of collecting. A valid point is, and this is not my idea, by the way. This was suggested to me, but a valid point about that is that you could, if it's a residual haunting, or residual voices coming through like that, you probably could get the same results, exact same results. If it were an intelligent response, you would not get the same results. So,
Right.
you know.
But now, that's when I say recreate it, the same thing. I'm talking about asking questions, getting the same answer to the same question more than once.
Right.
And that's, but again, in science, that's what you do. You recreate and reproduce. You do every experiment over and over and over and over.
Yeah.
Because you have to be able, in science, you have to be able to prove not only whatever your theory is, and this is part of the conversation that David and I had. Math is the only pure science. 2 plus 2 is 4. And 2 plus 2 will always be 4. 2 apples and 2 apples are 4 apples. 2 oranges and 2 oranges are 4 oranges. 2 apples and 2 oranges are 4 pieces of fruit. And you can prove that 2 plus 2 equals 4. But not only that, you can prove that 2 plus 2 does not equal 1. It does not equal 2. It does not equal 3. It does not equal 5. You can prove not only that that's what this is, but you can also prove what it's not.
Agreed.
And that's what's important, to be able to show. And with paranormal, it will never be as provable as math.
No.
It's never, things like that can't be 100% until we die, and then we'll know and it won't matter.
Yeah, it's a little late after that, I guess. Yeah, the horse is already out of the barn, so. Well, that's a valid point. I can go with that. So your summation of the EVP collection technique of running water.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
It's fun to listen to because you can hear things in there that really does sound like conversations.
Okay.
And nothing wrong with doing it. And there's nothing wrong. And I think it's a great idea. Yeah, David does these things, finds different ways to try to collect EVPs, and it's great. But that one particular thing, I think, will never actually be valid evidence because, just like I said, by its very nature, it's too similar to human speech pattern, and our brains just look for something familiar in it.
Okay.
It's creepy. It's actually so similar. It's just creepy.
It
really creeps me
and
out to listen to it.
It's very intriguing,
Yes.
either way. My question to the people listening, and we actually did that whole Mystery of the Month EVP thing to try to solicit some responses on this very subject. As far as I know, I didn't get any replies. I don't think David got any replies. I would be curious to know what you folks out there think about it. I mean, the reason we do this show is for you. And a lot of people don't like sitting feedback. Listening to the show is enough feedback.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a boss at work. I've had bosses in the past who don't tell you, "Hey, you're doing a good job." They figure that if you're getting a paycheck, then you should understand that you are doing a good job.
Right. You still have that job.
Right. So you must be doing something right. So if they're still listening, they figure that we must understand we must be doing something right. And I'll go with that. That's fine. But I would be curious to know what you folks thought about the whole Mystery of the Month thing. That water draining EVP.
Right. Either post a response on the message board or send us an email. Either one.
Post a comment for the episode. I mean,
right,
either
anything.
way, who cares? Just something. Is this thing on? Is anybody actually paying any attention?
If you send an email, we can. You can put that on the message board. Can you?
Oh, absolutely.
Paste it
I've
on
done
there?
it before. Yeah.
And if it's sent as an email.
And the thing of it is, I do get several feedback. More feedback here lately than anything. I guess people are actually starting to get in the swing of things. But let me say that several of the emails I've got, a lot of the people, because it took me a while to answer some of them. I had to sit down one day and answer 17 emails in one day.
Wow.
It's just because I let them build up for like a week. But I was lazy. I mean, yeah, good Lord. So, anyway, in my email, I apologize for the delay. And I got several responses back from people saying, well, I didn't even figure you would answer because y'all are busy and y'all are doing that show. And they thought,
too busy.
no, they thought that we were too important to answer or something.
No, we're never too busy for that.
I'm not too important to do anything or too busy to do anything. I love feedback. I love talking to the folks that listen to this show, and it is their show. So anyway, basic point of it is if you have some feelings about that EVP, is it bogus? Is it a bunch of bull cacatores there?
Those are not my words. Those are yours.
I'm not exceeding the PG rating there unless su habla español un poquito. Yeah. So, my Spanish is atrocious, folks. I apologize for that. But, is it real? Should it be thrown out? Should it be kept? Let us know. Either way.
I didn't say throw it out either.
Oh, I know that. Well, I said throw it out, and I'm making a point.
Just listen to it, but I just personally don't think could be used as evidence.
And we all know what I think. So, anyway, let's hear from you. What do you think?
Yeah.
Tell us what you think. And hey, with that, we're going to take a commercial break. I need to breathe for a second. So, going to take a commercial break. We're going to play the commercial. Yeah, the commercial. The one, the only commercial. There's some subtle innuendo there for those who are into subtle innuendo. Here's our one commercial, and we'll see you on the other side of the break. Hey folks, Mike Watkins here. Many of you know me as the host of Georgia Paranormal Radio, but I'm also the founder and general manager of the Northwest Georgia Paranormal Investigation Team, which is an anchoring sponsor of this program. The Northwest Georgia Paranormal Investigation Team was founded back in 2004 as a scientifically based research and documentation team. This investigative group has over 17 years of combined experience in dealing with the paranormal, and the unique perspectives and specialties that each member investigator contributes really gives you the full package. You can trust the Northwest Georgia Paranormal Investigation Team to thoroughly, yet discreetly and confidentially, investigate and document any paranormal phenomenon that you may be experiencing. The Northwest Georgia Paranormal Investigation Team serves a large area of North Georgia, North Alabama, and even Southeast Tennessee. As always, their time and services are 100% free of charge. All they ask for is an invitation from you to let them investigate those cold spots, bumps in the night, or anything else paranormal. And contacting them couldn't be any easier either. Just go to www.nwgapit.com and check them out. The Northwest Georgia Paranormal Investigation Team, proudly bringing you Georgia Paranormal Radio and proudly investigating what you fear. Alright, welcome back to Georgia Paranormal Radio. This is again your host Mike Watkins, and with me tonight is guest Cindy Westbrooks, having a little hot topic talk here. Previously we were talking about some EVP collection techniques and our opinions on that, and now we're going to talk about something near and dear to my heart. And put Cindy on the...
He just wants to make fun of me.
Oh, I'm not making fun of anybody here, but heat of the moment, Cindy.
Yes.
We've actually brushed on this before, kind of one time on a hot topic talk, but I never really went in depth. Cindy Westbrooks, ladies and gentlemen, great person to know, good lady.
But
like us all, she has sinned and fallen short of the glory. In the heat of the moment, Cindy, it's going on. It's real. Yes. You're getting touched. You're hearing things. You're seeing things. You have this uncanny ability to, amazingly, all of a sudden it was some mass hallucination because of excess methane being reflected off of the International Space Station's new solar panels. I mean, what gives? Heat of the moment, Cindy. We all get caught up in it.
Yes.
Now, it's just, there's a difference, though. I don't deny what has happened in the heat of the moment. I process it. I hit the microphone sometimes with my hand. Yeah, well, that too. I process the information. I deal with everything, and I move on, and I add it to the record.
Question it.
You question it to the point of not believing your own senses.
Well, no, I don't know that I would go that far, but I question my own senses. Yes. Something was happening to start with.
Mm-hmm.
The night at the battlefield.
Right.
Man, it still gives me cold chills thinking about it.
For those of you who didn't have the privilege of being there with us that night, which is one of the last nights we've ever been able to go to the battlefield, not because of Cindy, but because of federal law. Cindy had the interesting encounter of having her shirt raised while she was there.
Right.
Well, allegedly having her shirt raised. How are we going to deny it this time, Cindy?
You just want to make fun of me.
No,
it was,
And it was rubbing your belly.
Yes.
Yeah, it was rubbing your belly.
And it was freaky. And Dustin actually saw, David's nephew, Dustin, actually saw part of it.
Right. I heard the screaming from a kilometer away. Well, it wasn't really a kilometer.
No,
it was
a few yards.
It was like a tenth of a kilometer.
Okay. But yeah, afterwards, my shirt did get raised up. I can't. What am I going to say about that? It did. I was joking when I said it was the wind, just because that really just ticks y'all off.
It actually
drives
does
you
tick
crazy,
me off.
doesn't it?
Well, I don't see how you can deny something so.
But the rest of it,
dynamic.
Okay, my shirt got raised up.
Yeah.
And I felt like I had hands on my stomach.
Okay.
And we got an EVP that said 3 or 4 times something about the baby.
Mm-hmm.
Freaky, really freaky.
Yeah.
Now, my shirt did get raised up. Like I said, I can't argue that it did.
Okay.
But the rest of it was I just caught up in the heat of the moment, and my mind created some of that, or did it really happen? And I'm not saying that it did, but I have to ask: Did I create some of that in my mind?
Well, only you really know that. I mean, I know.
But even I wouldn't know that if it was. That's kind of one of those things that.
You know what I learned in counseling class? I never actually took full psychology. I took counseling. Got my little certificate as a Christian counselor, as a matter of fact. That's from my old life. Something I learned, though. My mentor actually taught me this. If you can ask yourself, am I crazy? If you can honestly ask yourself in your mind, say, am I crazy? Then you're not, because only a sane person would wonder if they're crazy.
Well, then I'm very, very sane, because I wonder it quite frequently.
Well, see, then you're sane, because you have enough sense to know that you might be crazy.
Okay.
It's one of those psychological paradoxes.
Yeah. Well, that's just one of the things. That's one of the things I do. I question even my own sanity and judgment. I question it.
No.
It may be too much sometimes. I have to admit, sometimes maybe I do go too far.
Well, everybody has to question their sanity at some degree. I mean, I questioned my sanity going out in the middle of the night into God knows where, trying to talk to dead people. That is not normal by any means of the word.
No.
That is not by any stretch or fabrication of the word normal. Trying to talk to dead people jumps over that. Some might say it's crazy. I just think it's peculiar. Curious, strange, odd. Yeah,
All about perspective.
I'm reading the thesaurus tonight. It's in my head. It's what you get for memorizing Funkin' Wagnall's thesaurus. But old reference. Funkin' Wagnall's isn't even around anymore, I don't think. But what about other incidences, Cindy? I recall an incident, and we've actually played some of the EVP on here before, from a location that I cannot name. I cannot name that particular location, but there are voices whispering, and then you repeating those voices.
That creeps even me out.
And then
really
2 or 3 days after that, I talked to you because David's at the point of strangling you.
Yeah.
Because you said it didn't happen.
Well, I didn't say it didn't happen.
You just wonder if you're
did I?
Frippy froo there.
Yeah.
Loopy loo. I made up a new word, frippy froo.
Got you.
That's just okay. Again, folks, I apologize. It's been a long year, and it's only been 9 days.
Yeah.
Or 10 by the time you're hearing this.
Yeah. That's just kind of wondered, did I have a psychotic episode?
We would have all had to have a psychotic episode.
Well, that's not completely out of the question either.
So, okay. So down there, you thought, I guess we would all have been mass hallucinating.
That's not out of the question.
Then. Well, it's out of the question for me. I hadn't hallucinated in years.
How do you know?
Well, I quit drinking. Yeah. Now, I quit.
How do you know this isn't a hallucination?
How do we know that all of reality is not just a dream in some madman's mind that we call God, and that when he wakes up, we'll cease to exist, and we won't even remember that we ever existed because we never did. We're just a dream.
Maybe. Could be.
I'm not saying God is a madman, by the way. I'm just saying that maybe, that's one of those philosophical questions.
Yeah.
That's a philosophical question. What if existence as we know it is a dream in a madman's mind, and when he wakes up, we will cease to exist because we're just a dream?
The movie The Matrix.
Ah,
it's
that's a
whole
good movie.
made-up world.
Yeah, well, that's,
what if that's
virtual.
Right.
I have had deja vu a lot here lately. Maybe the Matrix is resetting itself.
Oh, God. Maybe it is.
Maybe. There was another incident, though, talking about hallucinations and hysteria and idiocy. But there's another incident that was brought to my attention about the train.
Yeah.
You were touched.
And that was the first time.
First time you were ever touched.
And
it scared you.
Yes.
Frightened you. Well,
yes.
It frightens anybody. I'm not frightened. It didn't frighten me. I'm not
startled.
I'm going to say that I've screamed like a schoolgirl the first time I ever got touched.
Yeah, it's very, very startling.
It's unexpected. Now, the thing of it is that there was some EVP communication there after I think David had said something about, come back. We didn't mean to startle you. It's like, you had scared them, not they had scared you. And then there was a response that said something about they won't, or we won't.
But now here's where you're going to get mad.
I'm not getting mad about anything. I don't have the energy.
Frustrated. Did we hear that in those EVPs because of what was already in our minds, the expectation? We expected to hear something like that because of prior events.
I don't know. I do know this much. I know that, and for you Christians out there, you biblical people out there, you will understand this reference completely. I know that if we were sitting here right now and Christ appeared between us, I would be the one saying, "Oh my Lord," and you'd be saying, "Let me see that scar."
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, we've had this discussion
Doubting
before.
Thomas.
Yes.
Oh, Doubting Thomas.
And I would have been, and I suppose, I've thought about that a lot. I would have been just like Thomas. I would have been very upset afterwards. I would have been devastated that I doubted.
Mm-hmm.
But I would have doubted nonetheless. I would have been devastated once I saw the proof.
Right.
And I knew, then it would have devastated me that I had to be shown the proof. But I would have had to have seen it.
Blessed is he who has seen and believed, but more blessed is he who has not seen and yet believes.
But
of course, that's talking about salvation, not ghosts. But I think it's a good principle.
Right.
A little faith is a good thing.
And I have a little. But it's hard. Faith is hard for me.
Well,
because I do need real evidence.
which you'll never have
Exactly.
until it's too late.
Exactly. Till it doesn't matter anymore.
Of course, biblically it says that anybody who has faith the size of a mustard seed.
Ah, the neighbors.
He wrecked it again.
Put it on pause.
Yeah. All right, folks. What you just heard was an interruption based upon stupidity. Not our stupidity, not this time, but people in my neighborhood stupidity. You see, I live in a neighborhood full of one-way streets. You have one way going down, you have one way coming up. It's like a divided highway, except it's only one lane on each side. So it's a divided roadway. It's paved.
It is.
It is. I live in a subdivision. And I've talked about the good folks that live around me before. They're good, honest, hard-working people. A lot of them elderly. A lot of them, you couldn't ask for better neighbors. There are some here, however, that are idiots. And they do the most asinine things in the world. Like take a turnaround and use it as a rocket strip or a rocket pad. About 4 days ago, or 5 days ago, we had a fella total a red Mustang 3 houses up from me because the roads were wet. And he come to our little turnaround and punched it like so many idiots do. And unfortunately, the road just wasn't there for him. And he lost control, and he wrapped his Mustang around a tree. And fortunately, he was not hurt, other than his pride. It didn't help that all of us neighbors had gathered out near the car and basically called him stupid, until the police made us stop. But I am the police, what can I say?
Yeah.
We are the law. But, so tonight, that car squealing and crash that you undoubtedly heard, and that I was psychically predicting, by the way, because I felt it coming. I put my finger up to these people in here. I said, he's going to crash. Did I not?
Yes.
I did. I really did. I felt that one coming. Sure enough, the idiot interrupts this good broadcast to crash his car into the neighbor's yard, tree, whatever. So you can blame that lovely interruption on an idiot, a true idiot, from Lafayette, Georgia, that actually left the scene of an accident.
Yeah. And again, I say, if he had done a little bit better, we could have done a spontaneous investigation for these good people.
We could have had a live investigation recording his spirit leaving his body if he had just wrapped it around that tree.
This is what stupidity sounds like when it leaves this world.
Absolutely. I do not believe in evolution. Actually, I believe in theistic evolution. A creator who created the world according to a plan, and then maybe some evolution occurred.
Right. But
Okay.
it's just that plan being unfolded.
Right. However, Darwin, whom I do not agree with, had this whole theory about survival of the fittest. And people, these are the kind of folks that we need to weed out of our gene pool.
All right.
I mean, we need to either put some chlorine in that sucker or get the bug filter out or something, but we need to weed this kind of idiocy out of the gene pool.
The one good theory that Darwin had.
That's it. And I'm here to I'm not just saying this because it's my street. I'm saying this because I worked as a firefighter for 4 years and as an EMT. As a volunteer, I've cut enough people out of cars to know that people are stupid. Obviously, you good folks listening to this program are not. You have a higher intelligence and are quite possibly on a higher social level than these mouth breathers. But that is my social tirade for Hot Topic Talk. If you're going to race your car down a street, you deserve to die.
Yeah.
But please do it near me so I can come and investigate your soul leaving your body.
There you go.
Thank you very much.
if you're gonna do it where you're putting other people's lives in danger, especially.
We were talking before the idiocy and the tirade, and by the way, it is friggin' cold outside.
Yes, it is.
I went running out with no jacket on. Somebody should have put a memo up about that. You shouldn't do things like that. I don't know who's running this show, but man, they need get in some trouble because it's cold out there. They are to put a memo up.
Yeah, whoever's on shift forgot to tell us that.
Yeah, whoever the watch commander is tonight. So anyway, I'm still shivering, and you may hear me shivering and catching my breath. But we were talking about in the heat of the moment, and I'm hoping that I edited out a few of those heat of the moment words whenever they did crash.
Yeah.
I let fly with a couple of expletives.
Because we had a pretty good heated moment just then.
Well, yeah, and so anyway, we were talking about in the heat of the moment and doubting yourself later. I've completely lost track. This show has just went to pot because of that. It really has. I've lost complete track of what we were talking about, or what we were doing. So I guess we're changing hot topic talk to Mike Watkins' soapbox against reckless driving. You have that tendency, though, to change, in the heat of the moment, you believe it, and then afterwards you kind of re-examine things.
Yes.
I'm not going to say you completely disavow, but you tend to overly re-examine things.
I do.
So, why is that? There's such a thing as healthy skepticism. Yours is in the hospital on an IV, it's so unhealthy.
Yeah. I guess it is. It's
Yeah.
on the event.
Yeah, I'm telling you. I mean, they've called the priest, Cindy. Your skepticism is so unhealthy, they've called the priest for it. They think it's about to die.
Yeah.
Or become some kind of evil creature. I don't know which.
I don't think it's going to morph anytime soon. So.
Okay.
It's probably going to pretty much stay the same. That's just my nature. I am
just
a
you.
very, very analytical person. And that's just the way I am. I overanalyze everything. This we've talked about this before too.
Yeah.
Even something as simple as watching a movie.
Mm-hmm.
It makes David absolutely insane. Just watching a movie. I'll break everything down. He goes, my God, why can you not just enjoy it for what it is?
Just watch the movie.
Just watch it and enjoy it for what it is. It's just a movie. But I'm like, that couldn't really happen that way because if it did this or this, then this or that would happen, and it couldn't happen the way they say it did.
Right.
And he's just like, oh my God, it's just a movie.
We all have those feelings, but I think we normally just keep them inside. But that's okay. We still like you. When we have to.
Okay. But see, again, it doesn't really matter because I'm going to be that way whether you like me or not.
Well, see, I may not agree with your opinions, but I defend your right to have them any day of the week, whether I like them or not.
I don't always like my own opinions either, but yeah.
But the Thorazine helps with that, right?
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah. Mine's Thorazine. 30 cc's a day, enough to knock out a horse.
Golly, man, yeah, no doubt.
Anyway, one other thing that we could talk about, and I'm not a big fan of talking about this. I have a kind of a controversial theory. The paranormal includes more than just ghosts.
Yeah.
It does. We don't talk about it a lot. I'm actually trying to get a guest in here who's a UFO researcher. As much as I don't like talking about them. And the reason is because I think the more and more you talk about something, the more and more you're going to be plagued with them. Yeah. Despite the fact that I watch Star Trek all the time. I know those are men in costumes.
Yeah.
Except for that Worf. I don't think that's really... No. Anyway.
Yeah, okay.
You can't make up ridges like that.
But see, we were talking about some of the things, talking up something.
Mm-hmm.
But I think UFOs are different. I don't think... They're not like spirits. I think
they're not
probably,
spirits, but
they are physically If they're real. They are
If they're
physically
real,
they are.
they're either from another planet or another dimension or something that we don't comprehend.
Right.
And, I would like to talk about that on one show one day, but what I want to talk about now is something I mentioned earlier. And it's something that I haven't researched a lot, but just my personal opinion. And this will get somebody talking and hopefully get somebody to write in and say something and correct me if I'm wrong. And I don't like talking about it, is Bigfoot.
Yeah.
I dated a Bigfoot once. I think she was a Bigfoot. If not, it was the ugliest woman I've ever met in my life. No. Oh.
Well, that's
her brother was
nice.
the devil. Well, her brother was the devil, too. So, anyway. In all seriousness, though, people think Bigfoots are, cryptozoology. Lost species. Animals that haven't been discovered. I just don't know, and somebody out there may be more of an expert on this than I. You would have to be. Excuse me. You'd have to be more of an expert on it than I am. I don't much believe that that Bigfoot is an actual animal. I believe he's a spirit, akin to the elemental spirits of Native American lore.
Right.
How else could you explain not finding hair?
Right. So
really hair.
Physical
or
remains.
Droppings. Or bones.
Right.
Or...
Well, it's like David said. That David brought up. That was a valid point.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they do bury their dead.
They might do.
Then,
they might do.
That would explain not being able to find remains.
But humans bury their dead, and you can find their remains everywhere.
Right.
Of course, there's more humans than there are Bigfoot, I'm sure. Well, maybe. I don't know. But maybe there aren't more humans than there are Bigfoots. Big feet. What is the proper plural of Bigfoot? Somebody can write in and tell me that. What is the proper plural of Bigfoot? Is it Bigfoots or Big feet? Neither one sounds appropriate.
No, but I'm thinking Bigfoots.
Yeah. Neither one sounds right. Somebody write in and tell me the proper plural of the word Bigfoot. Tell me what you think about that too. Is it a spirit? What do you think about that? Do you think it's a mammal? Do you think it's an animal? Or is it plausible that it could be a spirit entity?
Yeah. I mean, it's as possible as anything. And that's from the descriptions of Green Eyes.
Mm-hmm. That goes back to Cherokee myth, by the way.
Right. And that's something we had talked about before.
Right.
All of the Bigfoot sightings are surrounded with Native American, some kind of Native American.
Right.
The area or...
Right. Of course, the Native Americans were everywhere, so it's hard to say, well, it was on Indian ground. Because technically this whole continent was Indian ground.
Anyway, some places are much more steeped in Native American history than others. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you go to the middle of New York City.
Right. You're not going to see a Sasquatch.
Right.
Well, and that actually is a valid point.
He's probably afraid of the people that are living there.
Well, no, that's not true. I've heard that New Yorkers can be quite nice. Some of them. That don't mug you.
Right.
But you get mugged in Chattanooga just as easily as you will in New York.
Oh, my
or
brother
Atlanta.
got mugged in Somerville.
What?
Yes, sir. My brother got mugged in Somerville.
Well, that takes skill. I mean...
Seriously.
Oh, my God.
He got mugged. He got beat up.
Oh, the people who are from New York that mugged him. Yeah. Well, we just lost half of our listening audience. Thank you. That is comments care of Cindy and Mike. No.
Yeah.
Anyway.
He really did. He got beat up.
That's
and got
awful.
an uncashed paycheck stolen and what was left of his week before's paycheck in cash.
Wow.
So
now we got off on yet another tangent of getting mugged in small town Georgia. Yay. Well, you know what, actually, the thing of it is that I was just thinking is, since after, 1820, 1830, most of the Native Americans, the Indians, have been moved out to the west, the Central Plains and the Plains. And there are more Bigfoot sightings in Oklahoma and Kansas in the old Indian country. Or the new Indian country, I should say.
right.
than there are anywhere.
I have a cousin.
Other than the Pacific Northwest.
I have a cousin who lives in West Virginia, and Donna has seen Bigfoot outside her grandmother's house.
You sure it wasn't my ex-girlfriend?
I wouldn't swear to it.
Just checking. You know.
She ever been to West Virginia?
I don't know. Was Bigfoot wearing a tank top?
I don't know. I don't know.
Oh,
but they live in a
Lord.
haunted house too, so they have a rocking chair that rocks on its own.
Ooh, that's interesting. Well, do you have anything else we could bore these wonderful people with now that the show has went completely through the toilet? It's not even been flushed. It's just went down. It's just like the piece of plastic I just dropped.
Yeah, in the floor. That's all right. I'm waiting over. My nose is going to run because it's so cold in the floor.
Yeah.
God have mercy.
Okay.
It was cold outside.
Terribly.
I'm still cold.
Okay, so anything else you want to talk about before we wrap up this atrocity that we're going to call a broadcast for this week? The first half was pretty good, I thought. And then we just got totally distracted by Jerk Boy.
Crash.
Yeah, Jerk Boy, whoever that was. Or girl. I'm an equal opportunity insulter.
Yeah.
Jerk person.
Yeah.
You have anything else to say tonight?
Nothing I can think of. Nothing other than go out there and look for evidence and collect everything you can and then bring it home and tear it apart. And what you have left could be evidence.
As long as you don't send it to Cindy, then she'll dismiss it out of hand. So,
Well, yeah, send it to me. I'll
send
tear
it to
apart
Cindy.
for
She'll
you.
tear it apart for you. Well, this
So
has
you have
been
to process.
okay. This has been Georgia Paranormal Radio, episode number 15. For whatever it was worth. I don't think I've ever been so disappointed that I got interrupted tonight. We had a good show. It was a good show. We're going to be happy that it was a good show. And, you know, if you good folks don't like it, then, you know, I'll give you $1 to listen.
Send us an email.
Yeah, send an email. Tell
Tell
us
us
to
you
quit
didn't
being
like it.
distracted. Yeah. Yeah. I'm not going to actually pay you $1, by the way. I don't make that much. I work for the government. I mean, good God. I can't afford to pay anybody $1. This has been Georgia Paranormal Radio, episode number 15. I hope you've enjoyed it. We'll do better next time, I promise you. And some of you good folks have sent in an email saying that our shows and listening to me and David and listening to me is like sitting down and having a conversation with an old friend. That is one of the nicest compliments I've ever had in my life. And I thank you for that.
I'll feel right at home tonight.
Yeah, I hope that you don't throw me out of your house and write me off your friends list for tonight's broadcast. Appreciate you good folks sticking with me. I appreciate you coming, Cindy. And we'll see you next time on Georgia Paranormal Radio. If you're going to go out there, be safe, be careful, take the extra 10 seconds, do things right, and hey, stay warm because it is cold out there. Good night, everybody.
Underground, we are feet underground. We are 6 feet underground. We are 6 feet underground.